Hello everyone, this is Rob Silva. I'm gonna give a brief intro of Cinema 4D for you guys. I really hope you already have Cinema 4D installed in your machine. The version of Cinema 4D that I'm working with is R26. It's not the latest version, but definitely a newer version of the software. Let's just start. Cinema 4D is definitely a really massive software, and if you never worked with a 3D software, it can be really overwhelming for you. But I hope you can start and take it easy and get yourself familiar with the software. Let's start. So Cinema 4D has a long menu in the very top. I'm operating the software on Mac, so this menu here, you're not going to be able to see as much because it gets hidden. It has the pretty standard sets of tools that you can use on the left side. There's another menu here too. There are some buttons here that you're going to be using a lot. More buttons here. That's another set of tools and the right side in between. And I have those two panels, one here, one here. It has also a timeline in the bottom for animation. And here has some different options of the working space that you can set for to help you with whatever type of project you're going to do. If you want to work with a sculpture in sculpting 3D modeling, selecting this tab would be this working area would give you different types of tools for the purpose. If you want to work with a script, you can program inside of the software, or nodes as well. There's option for nodes too if you know how to work with nodes. Okay, so I'm going to be using the standard working space, and that's how we will go. All right, most of the tools that you're going to be using, especially for a starting point if you're new with the software, will be these three tools here. These three, you're going to be working with some of these tools right here on the top. You're going to be using these three buttons here. These four buttons you're going to be working with. Almost everything on this set of this vertical menu, which is divided by blue, green, purple, and some of other options here. This panel, this also section, and if you are creating animation, you're definitely going to be working with the timeline. So for you to add anything here obviously you can open files in Cinema 4D, certain types of files, but you already have some prefabs here for you. So the blue sections in this menu and the sets of tools here, they are prefabs for you, ready for you. So when you click it on, right on this white little arrow here, when you click it, you're going to see a lot of prefabs already, forms for you to work with. If you want to add it here, you just can click on top of it and they will be added for you. Okay. So let me just go over this. It's going to help you. Okay. So this hand here, you just click on top of it, you hold the button and the mouse, and you can move it, the form, pretty much the entire stage with the form on it. the form doesn't move, but the entire stage is moving. You can zoom in and zoom out by holding your mouse sort of like forward and back. And with this one here, you can rotate. And with this one here, you can, when you click on this one here, you can see the object that you added on the stage from 4 different views. A view from the top, a perspective view, a view from the right, and a view from the front. You can, if you want to work just with whatever view you prefer, you just click back on this toggle here, okay? And that you will be able to manipulate the object from that very specific view, which is the front in this case. I want to put this object here right on the top of the stage perfectly, which is this red line here. So it actually helped me very nicely there. All right, cool. So I'm going to go back to the perspective view. I'm going to use the hand and I'm going to move the image like this. If you want to rotate the object only, you can select the X, Y, and Z axis. You can go there and just select them and hold with your mouse and just move the mouse to wherever you want to. On the X to whatever location you want to. Here you can see the object also comes with these yellow lines here with yellow dots on top of it. You can resize your object by clicking and holding it, okay, on it. These tools here, when you click on an object, you're going to see an orange. The object is selected with this orange outline. You can, if you click on this tool, you're going to be able to rotate the object, okay, by just clicking on the axis that you can see a blue, green, and red. So you can see that that's the axis and how you can rotate the object in the orientation that you want to just by holding it, okay, right there. This tool here will help you to resize the object as well. It would sort of work as a function like the yellow one. So if you select the axis, you're not going to be able to change the object in a way that you want to, like with the yellow one. But I will show to you in a second how do you make that happen, okay? How can you make that happen? All right, so let's go back here. So these 3 tools here you're going to be using a lot as a beginner. So I have this cube here. I can see from different angles. There is a shortcuts 1, 2, and 3 on a keyboard that help you not to come here all the time if you want to move the image. So 1, you can move the entire stage. 2, you zoom in and zoom out. And 3, you can rotate the entire stage. So just by holding the number 3, you can number 1, number 2, and number 3, and work with your mouse, you can see the object from different perspectives. Just need to get used to. When you click on the object, when you select the object right here, you're going to see all the properties of the objects. You're going to see the size of the objects, X, Y, and Z. And you're also going to see segments. What does it do is, this is the division of each object. So the segment X, which is this one here, this side, it's this entire the sides of the object, it's divided by just one. This is just one piece. If I wanted to delete this one entire piece here, I will show to you. I would be able to by just clicking on and delete it. Okay, so because it's just one piece. You can divide the entire area on your object by working here. But you can't see, right? The object, this entire side of the object is divided by 7, but you can't see For you to be able to see the object divided, you need to come to display and click on this section here. Okay, the object now has some shading, and you can click here. We will also show lines. So you can see now when I came to display and click on this, you can see some black outlines in the object. We can see it. So now if I add the number 2 here, you can see that the object got divided. Okay, the object got divided. If I add another number here on segments X, the object got divided too. So you can divide the objects by changing the segments. One thing that you have to keep in mind is that, especially if you're going to work with Unity software, more segments, it demands more graphic memory and software power too, hardware power. So if you work creating a game with a lot of objects with so many segments, it would demand a lot of power. So lower divisions, it's make it a lighter object. It does demand a lot of graphic power. Okay. This is the size of the object. This object is huge, and the size is in centimeters. So it's a really big object. So ideally, we want to work with a smaller object. So you can use your calculator to divide this in inches if you want to. I'm gonna put 20, 20, and 20 centimeters for this object. So relatively small, right there. So larger objects demand more power too. Okay. So how can you alter this object in different ways? So the object is divided here. I selected the object, and then I need to make this object editable in order for me to change it. When I make the object editable, I will no longer be able to work with the object in this state. So ideally, a lot of times what you do is you copy the object, just Ctrl+C and Ctrl+V. You make a copy of the object, and so you can see there's 2 objects now, 2 of the same objects on the scene, as you can see it. What you can do, you can hide this object by clicking on those little dots here. You see that I clicked this green. When I click on red, the object disappears from the screen. Let me show to you. It will disappear. So having a copy of the object is always, because there's so much Ctrl+Z's that you can, so much undo's that you can do. So that's pretty ideal. Okay. So we're going to be working with this object here. So for you to make other changes, there's not much change that you can do in this object. I mean, there's a lot of changes. There's different tools though that you can do, but what you want to do is, a lot of times you want to make this object editable. So you can operate perhaps in each individual cube here. There's other ways that you can do that, but this is perhaps a good way for you to start. So you click on this button, select the object that you want to make editable, and select this and click on this. So now you can see that the object will change the icon. So you can see that's an object that's editable. You no longer will be able to, let me just go back. You'll no longer be able to individually, well, you can directly on an object, but right here on this panel, you'll no longer be able to see this object tab here, or add different segments. There's other ways to add segments using different tools, but using this panel, you'll no longer be able. You're gonna see the coordinates tab, which you can rotate the objects through here if you don't need to use this tool here. Okay, so you'll be able to, you're gonna see the coordinate tab. But when you make editable, you can see that the object tab is no longer here, okay, right there. Cool. But after making the object editable, there's other things that will give you a chance to do. So we'll select this object here, And I will come here and I'm going to use these tools to show to you what you can do with that. So as you can see, my object is selected, and that means that you're usually going to be working a lot with this. You can see that's a white white outline selected cube here. That means that this tool is for you to select the entire object. When you click on this one here, polygon tools, this will give you a chance to select parts of those segments that you created or that contains the object. So I can click on this, so only this part is selected, and I can move this part here and alter everything. You can see it. Okay, I can alter everything, anything. I can change my tool here and rotate this section. Right? I can rotate in any way that I want to. Right? And I also can resize it by using the scale tool. Right? I can resize it. Okay. So as you can see here, the icon shows specific parts of the object that I can select. Right? That's what the tool gives me. Right there. The tool gives me certain options for that. Let me just move a little bit here. Okay, can select this. Can go back there. I'm gonna pull this a little bit. Right there. Okay, right there. And let's just make something a little bit fun here by selecting certain parts. A really strange form. And this one here, I can pull this. If you want to select multiple, you just hold the Shift button and you can select more than one, okay, by clicking on it. And I can rotate this. Right there. So just to make a funky shape, a funky form. Okay, so you can see I am selecting parts of the object. There's the other tool too that's really fun is this one here, this one. Let's see if it's gonna show that. So that's a points tool, and you can see when I select the points tool, the points on the intersection, on where all the segments cross and connects to one another, a lot of black dots appear. Okay, so I can select those, and I can work specifically with those dots right there. You see it, where they are. Very specific. And you can change them, the form in very specific and specific way that you want to. Okay. All right. It's a really strange form. Cool. You also can select them and delete them if you want to. If you delete, click it. Excuse me. If you click on select them and click the delete button, you pretty much delete. And if you use this tool here and select a form, parts of the object, you also can click on the delete button and delete those sections. Okay, by just deleting. Let's delete a little bit more, a few things here. All right, cool. This and this, done. All right. So, so this useful here. These tools can be very, very useful. Okay. So I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna use the model tool here, where my entire form is selected. Okay. You can see the orange outline around the entire form. All right. So. I don't need this anymore. I'm gonna just click delete. I'm just gonna go with this this form. One thing about this is that it's very geometrical, this form, right? There's not much curves. There's nothing here, and I want this with a lot of curves. There's so many ways that you can do that, but for you to start, the segments is the key here. Objects that has more segments, it bends better, right? Because the object is divided by multiple pieces. So that means that if you want to bend something that has multiple pieces, it's easier to bend something that there is none, right? It's for example, it's easier to bend this entire side of this object here if there was divided by 100 pieces rather than be just one piece. So that totally makes sense, right? So what you need to do is you need to divide every part of this object in multiple pieces. We can no longer use the segments anymore because there's no segments here. I select the object on the attributes or property of the object. Doesn't give me the option. Just gives me the option to rotate the object and scale. But there's a tool here on this that you can use it. So here in the green tools, which are not prefabs, they're tools, okay, for you to use within your object. There's a tool that calls subdivision surface. There's so many tools here that you can use with the object, okay? So subdivision means division, right? I will subdivide the surface, okay? So I'm gonna click on that tool. For all the green tools, you need to make your objects a child of the green tool. You cannot make the green tools a child of the object like this. So you need to make the objects a child of it. And they will show to you a little bit what this tool does, even before I apply it. But so here, when you selected the tool, you're gonna see the object tab. Right, the tool is not here yet, applied to the object yet, but you're going to see the object tab. And here shows the divisions, how you're going to divide your object by 2. So if there's divisions already here, that's going to double, okay? So when I add my object, make an object a child of the subdivision surface 2, this is what's going to happen. The entire object got divided, okay, already. So you can see now that the geometrical form of the objects got all divided, okay? Completely divided. If there are parts in the object that I think that's not smooth, I can divide it even more, and they will bend even more by just selecting the tool and making more divisions. So you can see now the object is so much divided. There's the benefits of the divisions, right? It's absolutely smooth, it's beautiful, it's just, it's organic. But on the other hand if you have 100 images, objects like this in your game or in an animation, it would take a lot of computer power, graphic power, and rendering time to make that happen. So take it as a consideration, okay? More complex objects with a lot of segments, hardware and software power will and rendering time is going to be something they have to deal with it, okay? And but yeah, the objects looks really amazing. All right, great. So I really like the way that the object is right now. What I'm gonna do is I can make a copy of the objects by just selecting. I can close it here, just select it, just make a copy of it, like Ctrl C and Ctrl V. And I'm gonna hide it because I had 2 objects on my stage here. So now what I want you to do is I want to change these objects a little bit more. And I'm gonna use the purple tools here, okay? So the purple tools here, when you click it, there's a lot of them. They will do a lot of things. I'm gonna just bend this. I will bend this entire form here. So I'm gonna use the bend, okay? So as you can see, my object's so small compared to when I clicked on a bend, you just click on the bend tool is gonna appear here. And you can see that the tool is selected, the tool is huge, okay? Everything that inside is inside of this transparent cube here, which is the tool, can be modified if I use that tool. So when I select the tool here, you can see that the properties of the tool is going to appear here. The coordinates, I can just rotate that tool, okay? And there's the object. Usually, most of the effects that the tool, whatever the tool does, you're going to find in the objects tab button here. So the tool is too big, so I want to make that tool smaller. Okay, I just can go here and just make it a little smaller if I want to. Or I can click this button here that called Fit to Parent. This button is invisible here. You barely can see. For you to see this button here, you need to use the tool in a way that you're supposed to use the tool. Okay, so let me show to you first. So really pay attention. The green tool has the object, your object, always as a child of it. For the purple tool, the tool is the child of the object. So what I will do first, before I do anything, let me just combine this object to make this object a one object, and I will go over that in a second. But you can see I have my object here, right? And I will make the purple tool as the child of the object. So again, for the green tool, the object needs to be the child of it. And for the purple tool, the tool is the child of the object. Okay. All right. So, for the Fit to Parent appear, you need to apply the tool to the object. You see that is not applied yet, so I need to make that a child of the object. When I make a child of it, the Fit to Parent appear. The Fit to Parents come really handy if you need it, okay? You don't need to use it. You always can adjust the tool according to the size that you want to. You can use also you can resize it. You can use this to resize the tool if you want to. Or click on Fit to Parent. When you click Fit to Parent, the tool is applied perfectly to the dimensions of your object. So you can see that the object is perfectly, the tool got perfectly applied to the object. Okay. So the bend tool, what the bend tool does is, I'm gonna click on the object here. What does it do is you will just bend this object. And when I apply to the object, actually, hold on. Let me, I'm working with a different object. Let me just, this is the object that I wanted. Let me delete this. Give me a second. Let me delete this, okay. And apply to this one here, right there. Okay, right there. You see that object is a child of the green. The cube is, the band is a child of the cube, okay. Let me also click Fit to Parents so that will fit perfectly. Okay, right there. Let me just go back a little bit, right there. So you can see that, actually let me just do something here. Let me just connect this up, make a copy of this object again. Just give me a second because I think that will help you better, okay, for the sake of this tutorial. Let me make another this. Okay, cool. All right, now it's perfect. All right, so here I have the object, okay. Can rename this by just clicking twice and cube, but we're gonna just rename. I'm gonna make the purple tool the child of the object. I have another copy of the object because I just hid the object, okay. So, and I'm gonna click here Fit to Parents, right there, okay. And I can turn the object. I can bend it. And you can see that the many segments it makes that turn more smooth around the entire object. If I don't have them in segments, it will not be this smooth or would not bend nicely. And I will show this to you by working on the other object. So I have the object here, without adding, without dividing the object much. I will add another bend tool, and I'm going to make that as a child of the object. And I will click on Fit to Parents, just so that can fit very nicely around the object. Now if I bend that without having the segments, look what happened. Because it doesn't have them in segments, and you can see the difference. It's the same object, but it cannot bend that nicely. It becomes an interesting object, but it cannot bend nicely. Okay, so so what the segments does is the segments help for you to model the work better. Okay, but remember, this takes a lot of graphic power, hardware power, and rendering time too, versus this. Okay, the ones that has less geometry. So let's work with this one here, the one that has more geometry, and we're gonna go from there. All right, cool. So I have this, right, the object there. What I'm gonna do is I will make this. I will combine those two things, the the effect, the bend tool, and the object. And by doing that, I'm gonna just click with the right button on the object, and I'm gonna go here, connect and delete. If I click connect objects only, that's gonna create a copy for me of the object. But I don't want to copy. I just want to connect objects, everything that's selected there, and delete. So now that tool was applied. You needed to do that because when you're gonna save your project to Unity, you do not want to have a long string of tools. You don't want it to do that. That's gonna also take a lot of hardware and software power if you have a long string of tools, like a very long string of objects coming. So it's better to grab everything and just obviously some of objects is gonna be separated, but if that needs to be separated, you just separate them. But if it doesn't need, make sure that you select everything and connect everything and has just one object. Okay, so be aware of that. All right, cool. So I have my form. I have the form like that ready there for me. Now I'm gonna just add some color. Here is the material manager. Okay, so you click on this button here. You can click 2 times on this section, or you just can click on this plus button. An object's gonna open. Here you also can see the properties of when you select the material, you can see the properties of it. Ideally, you want to click 2 times on the material so that this pop-up is gonna open, and here is gonna give all the options for you how to use this material. I have a color on the object selected. I can change the color of the object by just selecting the color. I have texture, long list of texture here to use it. And my objects right now it has a reflectancy applied, so I don't need a reflectancy. You see that every time that I click here, it shines a little bit. You can see some sort of light reflection on, so I don't need that. I'm gonna just leave plain like this without nothing. Okay, all right. For you to apply your material to the object, you just hold it and drag it to it, or you hold it and drag to the object right here. So I'm just hold and drag it and release the mouse button, and that will be it. If you want to hide this tab, just click back on the material manager button and you just hide. Cool. So I have the object here ready to be to do something to animate or to be saved. So before I go over render and go over animation, I just want to show to you, for you to save this project, this object for Unity, you need to go to File, you need to go to Export, and you need to click on FBX type of file here, FBX. So when you click on FBX, this tab is going to open. Here you have some places that you can work and select. If your object is animated, make sure that you select the tracks. If you, for Unity, you will not save the objects with lights or materials. The object is going to be completely plain, without absolutely nothing, just the animation and the object. So for Unity, you will not select this materials. Let's see what else here. We're not selecting cameras or lights, because Unity already has lights, has camera, has materials that you can create there. Okay. What else? Geometry. I think that's everything here. Looks pretty okay for Unity. All right, so the object here, if you want to see what your object look like, you can just click on this button here on render view. When you click it on, you can see the object right there already created. When you click back on the black, you will go back to where it was, to the edit mode. All right, so let's just animate this object here. I will just let's just animate this object. All right, so I'm gonna select the object here, and I'm gonna go to the coordinates. Here I have my my timeline. There's 90 frames right now available. I am on a frame 0 here right now. My last frame again is 90. Object is selected. What I want to do is I want to rotate this object. I want to rotate it. One problem that let's see here. One problem that I have here right now, before I even start the animation, because as you can see, my object is right here, and the axis, it's not in the object. If I want to rotate this object now, you're gonna see that the object rotates. The axis is not in the object. It's far from them. If I want to create an animation with this object rotating, the object will not rotate in one place. It's going to rotate off its axis. So I needed to fix the axis first. For me to fix the axis, I can do by eye, or there's other place that I can go to. So you can see the axis of the object is right here. So by doing by eye, I just can go to a view. I can click on this button here. That shows enable axis. Enable axis right here, and then I want to make sure that I selected this. I'm not in rotate mode, so you can see the axis right here, and I can drag the axis to the object right there. Can drag the axis to the object, and you can see here I'm in a front view, right? So this is the front, this is the side, and this is the top, and I can go ahead and make this a little bit bigger so I can see better, and go to the middle of the object right here. If you want to add the axis perfectly inside of the object to fix the axis on the object, there's other ways to do too, and I will show you where you can go. So now that I added the axis, the location that I wanted, I can just go and deselect. Okay, so now my object is it will rotate in one place because the axis is in the object. So I'm going to go back to this view here. Now if I wanted to rotate this object, let's see, select, rotate the object So you see the object is rotating on its axis now, because the axis needs to be in the middle of the object, right there. Okay. If you want to go to rotate the, if you wanted to add the axis perfectly in the center of the object, you can go to, let me see here, let me see if I can find it perfectly, 1 second here, right here. You go to Tools, Axis, you can click on Axis Center or View Center, and you can play with the axis, that the location that you want to. You can, let me just put 0 here. You can click on alignment, you can reset. I mean, just go to the axis center and just add it whatever you needed to add it. Okay, perfectly. Cool. Let me see here. Select the object, everything's there. Cool. So this is the location of my object. So I'm gonna just put my object where I want to, there nicely, in the center there. So it's in the center of the stage. All right. Everything is very nicely there. All right, cool. Let's animate this. So selecting the object, I'm gonna rotate the object, right? That's what I want. I want to rotate the object using the Y and the X axis, okay? So I'm gonna frame 0 here. I'm gonna click on this. I am in a 0 degree here, 0. I will click on this button here to record my position. See, I recorded, and when I record, when I click on that to record, you can see that this white mark now appears on my timeline. So I'm gonna move to my last frame, and when I want to become to be on a different position on the last frame. So you can see now it's still 0, right? It's not recorded because I didn't click it on. So I want to be 360 degrees. Okay. And now I'm gonna go ahead and record a position on the last frame here, 360. So that means that when my object is in the first frame, it's on a 0 degree, and when it's on the last frame, it's supposed to be 360. Okay. So as it progresses, I will keep rotating because until I get to 360. As you can see, when I move my my timeline here, you can see that it will head towards the 360. Okay, right there. Cool. So if I click on play here right now, you would just go, and you can see that it's from the 0 to 360. Okay. I can do that with a different position too. I can go ahead here and record another position. 0. I'm gonna go to 90. I can put 360 here too, and record at that position. Now, on the X, on the X-axis, it's gonna rotate 360, and then the Y-axis is gonna rotate 362. So there's 2 things that's gonna be happening. So you can see now the object is moving on differently. Okay, and I also can do with this one here. So wherever you see these little dots that you can click, you can record it. Whatever function that you might find that you know, whatever you find is, if it's resizing, if it's expanding, if it's falling, or whatever that is. Okay, so everything will move now. So right there. Okay. All right, cool. If you want to take the animation off, you need to go back to the same position, unselect, let me unselect this, go back to the 90 and then select 2, and that's, you pretty much took the the animation of your object, okay? And I would do that with this, and I would do this one here with this too. Let's see now. I think that I took from the wrong one. Hold on. There's 360 and 0. There you go. Let's see. Right there. Just gonna keep rotating this way. Cool. All right. So one of the problems about when you start the animation is that, as you can see, the animation it started very nicely, and then it slows down and pauses on the last frame. The way for you to fix this is to go into Window, go into Timeline, Curve, and what you want to do this, you want to do a continuous line for the animation, okay? Because now it's a curve, and what you can do is you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna click on this. You select the object that is animated, where you can actually see the animation, and you're gonna click on this one here, which is called soft, and that will straight up. It will be very continuous, okay, and not curved animation. Now, if you play your object, you can see that the pause is gone. The object is continually rotating without any curve or pause. Cool. All right. Now let's render this. For you to render your objects, you need to come right here. Click on Edit Render Settings, which is this. Here you're gonna see everything that you need to do to prepare your project to render. Okay. Here is the size of the frame. As you can see, the size of the frame is this size here. Let me just change this a little bit, and I will show that to you a little bit more. Like put 720 here, okay, right there. So you can see that this a little bit darker section, this board here, it will not be rendered, okay, if you were rendering an animation, okay. So the only thing that will render here, if you want to render this as a video, as an animation, you will just render this section that's clear, okay. So let's just go 720 by 720, and then there's a resolution. If I want to render this as a video, I would go by 300. There's a frame rate. You can go 60 up to 60, and I am on a current frame, so I'm on a frame 0. If I click to render now, if you just rendered one frame, what you want to do is you're going to render all frames, so from 0 to 90, okay. And then you're going to go to Save tab. You need to find where you want to save your object. Just go ahead and click it on. Let me just save here on my desktop. And then you're gonna find the format of your work. And there's MOV or MP4 if you're saving this as an animation, okay? And you're pretty much ready to go, okay, to save your object. And when you start rendering, you just click when you start render, you just click on this one here, render to picture view, okay? And then I have another animations here, and they will just render. Cool, done. So you just render. You can see all the history. Every single frame got rendered. Okay. All right, and you just can close it. It's already saved where you put it there to save, and I will play in a second. Other things too, and to save as a Unity file, okay? So again, for you to save, you need to go to File, Export, APK, FBX here. No, APK, FBX. And you're gonna go to Settings. We don't have cameras or lights, which you will not use that. The file format here is very important, okay? You always need to be on this 2016, 2017, and 2018 file format. Okay, this is important. And let's see if there's anything else here. Good. Geometry, everything looks good here. Animation, that's when you're gonna click on tracks. Okay, you need to have that selected if you want to upload an animation to your to Unity. Okay, and then we just click OK. That's gonna save the file as an APK, and just save the file. Okay, and that's kind of pretty much. I think that covers a lot of Intro to Unity, a little bit of an animations, and save for Unity animation, and all the basics for you to start working with the software. So let me just play an animation. Just give me a second. Let me play an animation here for you to see what it's actually look like. Right there. And let me play it. Give me a second. There you go. Right there. So you can see the animation is pretty fine. I can loop it and I can leave it on loop, and it will loop perfectly without any break. And that's it. That's kind of pretty much